Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
We grow up learning not to be judgmental or harsh with people, not to call others names, and that's a good thing to learn. But as Solomon said, there's a time for everything, and Jesus didn't refrain from pronouncing judgment and calling people what they were. Christians in our society today could learn a lot from Jesus' pronouncement of judgment in Matthew 23. He spoke to his disciples and the multitudes, but as we see from Matthew 22, the scribes and Pharisees and other leaders were right there with him. They'd been trying to trap him. About halfway through chapter 23, Jesus started pronouncing woes on the scribes and Pharisees. As you read it, it sounds so harsh. He says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." He says that 8 times. He calls them so many different names: sons of hell, blind, fools, unrighteous, full of dead men's bones, serpents, brood of vipers, murderers. I guarantee they never thought about themselves this way. And to say that they were offended by Jesus' tirade here would be an extreme understatement. If they hadn't already decided to kill him, their rage at the speech alone would tip the scales on that. But we have to remember that Jesus wasn't calling out the ones in his culture who were obviously bad. He was in the temple pronouncing judgment on respectable religious leaders. This makes me wonder who he would pronounce judgment on if he were to make this type of speech in our churches today. Who would he call hypocrite or blind guide? I can think of lots of things he might say. He might say, "You were supposed to be my representative to the world. You were supposed to be salt and light. Yet the only time some of you Christians act like little Christs is in church on Sunday. You hide my light under a bushel so the world can't see, and every other day of the week you act however you want, at home, at work, in traffic. You are giving me a bad name. People look at you and think, if that's what following Jesus looks like, I don't want anything to do with it. You do good things, like give money or volunteer for something, but it's not out of love for me. It's to make yourself look good. You think that it impresses me, but it doesn't. I know your heart. What's more, half the things that you volunteer for, you don't actually do. You don't follow through on things you promise, especially if something else comes up. Then you start making excuses about being too busy. You may give me money, sometimes even a little above your tithe, but then you don't have compassion and love for your fellow man. You don't lend a helping hand to those who I put in your path. You're more likely to condemn them instead. Yeah, you look good on the outside, but remember, I see the inside, the private sin that no one else sees. You look righteous, but you don't have the relationship with me that you should, and you know it. You say that you wouldn't be like the Pharisees way back then, but you are. Wow, that would be harsh, wouldn't it? But then we could tell the true Pharisees and the true Christians by their reaction to what he said. The Pharisees would be angry, resentful, and hostile. But those who truly wanted to follow and obey Jesus would be convicted and repent of even the smallest way that they saw themselves in what he had said. Which would you be? How would you react?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.